and welcome to this video. Today, we're gonna see the process of a fun, like, paper mosaic kind of a thing, where I cut up a bunch of pieces of paper and I glued them together in a just chaotic mess and then tried to make an image of it. I apologize for this beginning part after I cut the pieces of paper. You cannot see me glue them together very well, so I apologize for how off the screen it is. I promise that gets better later on. I promise that gets better later on. But yeah, I had started working on another project before this one, and I learned a little bit too late into the process that it was going to take a heck of a lot longer than I thought it would take, so out of frustration I started working on this instead. So this was a stress release project. I needed something a bit simpler to take my mind off of the frustration of the project I had been working on originally. And hopefully that one will get done eventually, but not right now. I needed something that would get done a lot faster. So you see me slowly but surely piece together all of these. They look really tan on screen, but I swear they're this light green color, and you'll notice this lighting is not the best. It really skews some of the colors on screen. Like towards the very end, there's this red color that I use, and it just looks so vibrant on screen, but it wasn't in real life. It's more like a calm salmon color. But anyway, so I start gluing on the different pieces and going with a specific color scheme. I had already picked out these colors originally, and I had already thought through this project, and then when I got frustrated with the last time when I was working on, I grabbed the pieces of paper and started tearing them to pieces. So we have three different colors we're working with right now. We have the really, really light green one that basically looks tan on camera, and then we have the dark green, and then we have the middle of the road green that I really, really like. I apologize for this section where it's just you can't see anything because the sunlight is like moving up the screen. I'm so sorry. I had no idea how dark it was on camera. I can't see what's on the screen, so yeah, I apologize for that one. That's on me. So here you see me cutting up a bear. It was from a scrapbooking set of paper, and there was like a little bear on it, and I've done this before, which is why I know it works. I cut up the bear. I killed the bear because the colors work perfectly for a tree. So I cut up the pieces and then I glued them together to make a tree trunk and then a tree branch, and then I glued it to the paper. And you'll see, like, on the right side, you'll see where I glue the tree to the mosaic. You'll see like a little vine. I wanted the little vine to hang off of the tree. And then I didn't really like where the trunk kind of lands on the image. Also, it's upside down. I'm sorry. You'll see it right side up at the end of the video. But I didn't like where the trunk kind of lands on the image, so I started covering that bottom part of the image with little green grass fragments. I wasn't really sure how well I was going to be able to execute the idea of creating a bit more of a three-dimensional space than I wanted to create a better three-dimensional space than I have in the past. I've done a project like this twice before, and 3D is kind of difficult to do, so I start with a little bit of a horizon kind of a thing where that's where the grass cuts off. That's where the tree comes from. I wasn't really sure how to convey a more three-dimensional kind of image. I wanted to make sure there was a definite horizon, but I wasn't really completely sure how and where I wanted to do that. But when I placed the tree, it created a really perfect spot for me to start the grass line. So you'll see me building off of the section on the mosaic where the trunk line starts, and I used that to create my horizon so that I kind of have a little bit less of a weird, just basic background. I wasn't really sure how it was going to end up looking in the end, but I was like, we'll just go for it. I settled into taking the time to glue down all these little tiny pieces of paper onto the bottom part of this project. This is probably the longest step by far, because I basically have to cover like the entire square footage of that area, and it took a while. This may seem like masochism, it might be.
Listen, I love you, but you need to stop scratching furniture that isn't yours. And I know you don't understand me, and I know you're gonna continue to scratch that thing until it falls apart, but please, for the love of all things holy, stop. You're very cute, and I love you very much, but stop scratching that. Stop it. Stop. Just don't. Okay? Okay. Here, lie on my bed. There you go. Do not lie on the paper. Do not. What did I just say? Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. Honey, you can't. No, honey, no. Sorry, honey, no. Okay, I love you very much, but you need to go now, okay? Go lie down in the living room, okay, honey? Come on. Excuse me?
There were different points in this project when I was staring at what I was making, and I realized it looks kind of like America. A weird blob. But listen, it would just be a normal blob, except for the fact that that weird horn on the end, that looks like Florida. It's like America, you know? United States. It kind of, the shape of it resembles how we all actually feel, you know? It makes sense that the tree is over the Pacific Northwest. I don't know why, I just really didn't want to glue pieces onto Florida. I don't know why. It just took me a while to warm up to it and just eventually start putting things on. I knew I needed to cover it. I don't know, man. But yeah, it took a while to glue all of that on there, and then I really didn't like that you could see the lighter pieces, or at least the tan peeking through all of the grass. So I tried to cover that up the best that I could. It didn't work out too well, but I'm still happy with the end result. I covered up most of it. The pieces that are left are pretty small, so it ended up looking okay. Where was I? Oh yeah, I was talking for way too long about the horizon on this piece of paper. Yeah. Horizon. Paper strips, glue. Oh, you'll also see that I'm gluing things down by using the tip of an embroidery needle. That's so I don't get a bunch of glue in my hands, and it just makes it easier to specify where exactly I want to be putting down glue. It just makes it a lot easier, and I would use toothpicks, but I don't really want to, and I can reuse a needle, so that just makes it easier. Why am I not using like a pointier sewing needle? I just really like the one that I have. It's a pretty big needle, so like it makes it a lot easier to handle. So yeah, that's my thought process with that. I then decided to go through another one of my little booklets of just different scrapbook paper, and I found this yellow piece that I really liked the color of, and so I cut it up into pieces, and I cut those pieces into even smaller pieces, and then I cut those pieces into little triangle pieces in order to make the tiniest flowers you've ever seen. Don't do this. Don't. I almost lost my mind making these. Don't do it, please. And this one especially, I decided to glue those tiny little spikes on. Why would I do that? Why? No, don't do that. Do not. You'll see very quickly that I decide not to do this with any of the rest of them because it just, I got a headache. And then I tried to put like a little circle on the flower, you know, kind of like a black-eyed Susan, but I hated how it looked, so I decided not to go through with it. And so I just leave it to the side because I didn't know what to do with it. And then I stuck a couple of those yellow petals in a few places on the hedge. I kind of decided that was a hedge, And then I started working on a pink flower, kind of like a cherry blossom kind of a flower. And then I liked how the scrapbook paper looked for those as well. Anyway, I decided to make an even smaller one to torture myself even further. These petals looked disgusting. They weren't symmetrical at all, and they were really difficult to work with, so it did not go super well, but I finally put them together, and then I made another one. I decided to make even more of them. I don't know why. I don't know what was going through my head, and then some of the petals were uneven, and so I don't know why I continued to go through with it, but, you know, I kept making more and more flowers. But I didn't make that many, so who's the real loser? Still me, but oh well. And then I decided to do a method with the formation of the flower petals because I didn't want to deal with the same problem that I had with the yellow one, which was that the center of it looked too messy, and so I tried to cover it up, and then it looked even worse trying to cover it up, so I just left it basic. And then I decided to fix that problem by curving some of the edges, not the edges, but the center pieces of the petals so that they still looked clean, and I didn't need a center for the flower. I just could leave them as is and it wouldn't look bad. But yeah, I didn't make many of those flowers. I only made, looks like I only made 3? I only made 3? Did I really only make 3 of those? Oh, no, I made 5. No, I made 5. 5? 5. 5. 5, because I made 4 pink ones, 1 yellow. They look okay. And then I start working on the swing. I had an initial idea to make a swing, and I didn't really go through with it at first because I thought I would be able to do something else with it. And then I couldn't do that, and so I edited it out so it doesn't look like I made any mistakes, but now I'm talking about my mistakes, so that's fine. But anyway, I started on the swing, which was my original idea in the first place, and I started working on it, and then I finished it, and then I really didn't like the lines of overlap on the ropes of the swing, so I tried covering them up with like little tiny slivers of pink scrapbook paper. And you know what, I'm still not completely sure about what I think of how it looks, but honestly it looks okay, so I didn't rip them off or anything. They were too much of a headache compared with how long that took me to do. And then I finally get to the final stretch of the project, which is this very vibrant looking paper. Like I said earlier, it actually looks like salmon. Not salmon, but I swear it's not that bright. I would never use that bright of paper for a project like this. It takes away from the colors on the image on the picture. Oh, that's kind of frustrating, but oh well. I start working on the frame, and I don't know, my kind of idea for this weird frame is so that the garden kind of overflows over the frame a little bit. It's kind of like a little flower box containing the little garden. I really liked the idea. I kind of felt like Secret Garden vibes while I was working on this, but yeah. So anyway, I finished the frame, and then I had to glue down spots in order to cover up the spots where, since there's no background on this project, usually I do it on like a piece of paper, or not a piece of paper, on like a piece of cardboard or poster, but this time it's completely freeform. I decided to add extra little strips of the red scrapbook paper just to kind of cover up any holes that are in the mosaic itself. So you'll see me kind of line it up several different times. You'll see me, there's one little tiny like hole where I just glue over a piece of the red paper because I didn't even want to try building out to it. And anyway, that's how I kind of finish the project, and you'll see me lining it up several times because I wanted to make it look like the garden is kind of spilling out of the flower box. I don't know, I kind of liked that idea. But anyway, then I glued it to the flower box and I was done. Okay. I think that's it. Yeah.